Hello and welcome back to the Chattercade podcast, where I discuss media in the form of reviews and discussions. I'm your host, Drinking Thomas Hughes, and today I'm going to be not doing again what I was hoping to do, which, as I stated in last week's video with Alex, which if you haven't checked that out, go check that out. Obviously, last week I said that I was hoping to do the October movie ranking with Connor. Obviously, that was meant to be for last week's video, fell through. And I was kind of hoping that I'd get a chance to do it this week, but again, no chance whatsoever. So it's another solo podcast today. But instead, obviously, I am kind of obviously still talking about October. If I've got time in this, I might discuss October releases because there is quite a few decent movies coming out or decent looking movies in October, but I'll see about that. Depends on how much time I've got left. But what I want to talk about today actually is something I have been doing the past couple of years, which is 31 Days of Halloween. I started doing this during COVID. I kept seeing like people reviewing like horror movies during the month of October, and I was like, I kind of want to do like that. Like not necessarily. I didn't see them review it obviously for the 2020 month, obviously of October. Sorry, 2020 year of October. I meant like from previous years, I'd seen people obviously doing like a binge watching throughout October of basically horror movies, and I thought, well, COVID's happening and can't do much. I was like, I could do that. I could make like a list of 31 movies and just basically bash through one a day. And I've generally been doing that for the past 4 years. Oh well, this is coming up to my 4th year of doing it now. Obviously, by the time this podcast goes out, I would have started it. I'll be a few days into it. And as I say, I've been really enjoying doing it. 'Cause one of the things I love about doing it is obviously I get to revisit movies maybe I haven't seen them for a while, or just in general, I just fucking absolutely love a movie. And I just want to revisit them again. But on top of that, what I love about doing this is the fact that I get to see movies that I've not ever bothered to watch. I've not bothered to rush myself to see. So what I mean by that, it could be a movie from, I don't know, like a year top 80s. It could be a horror movie from the 80s. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't mind watching that, but I've generally never gotten around to watching it. And every time I try to, I just never get asked to. But when I do 31 Days of Halloween, I kind of have no choice because I've already established that days for this movie. Despite the fact that in recent times I have kind of changed the list as I'm going along, but that's just due to scheduling. Like if I'm, for example, in 2022, when my hours at work completely changed, I was going for a point where I generally was struggling to get a movie watched in time because I was sleeping that much because of the obviously longer working hours. So I think at that point, I think I was doing like, was that when I was doing like 9 till 8 in the morning? So fucking, I was doing a bitch ass of a shift. I think I was doing like 4 hours of overtime a day, and it was just fucking draining me. So I kind of had to change it as going along. Like if I couldn't, like for example, if I looked at, I've had a movie that was like an hour 40 minutes. I'm like, shit, I've only got like an hour to spare here. Then I'd find something that fits that, and I kind of adjusted my rules for obviously the binge watching. So obviously I kind of incorporated a lot of short films as well. So it wasn't necessarily just basically a proper full length theatrical movie or straight to DVD movie. I accepted short films as well. So I last year, if I look at my last year's list, I did the Nightmare on Elm Street, A New Nightmare fan short film that was made. That obviously went Dylan, which actually started the actual kid actor all grown up. I covered that, obviously that one in my month, just because obviously, actually I don't think there's a reason for that one. I think generally I was just like, well, I kind of want to check this out. I've been sitting on it in my wish list, my watch list on YouTube for fucking months now. So I was like, well, there's an excuse to watch it, and I think I did have it. I watched the New Nightmare one a few weeks before, so it was just a case of, well, I'll check that one out now. But I know, for example, maybe I think it was in 2022. I ended up throwing in, I think, the Friday the 13th fan film. I will double check that on my list because I do keep my list so I know what I've already watched, and I can kind of, well, I don't need to watch that again. this time round, or I can go, okay, I watched that. I've kept to watch that every fucking year. Like, for example, Jaws, I pretty much watch every 31 Days of Halloween. Normally, I watch it around the same point, not always. Same with the Halloween franchise. I tend to watch the original and the three newer ones because they're my favourite ones. I tend to watch them around basically the end of the month, so I always keep tabs on the exact days I need for them. So if I look at 2022, definitely. Or didn't I? No, I was actually okay in 2022. I didn't actually alter anything. I don't think I altered. I think it was last year. It might have been there. I started altering the 2023 list is when I started adding basically shorts and stuff. I think. Am I talking about my ass currently? Or was it 2021? I definitely remember at one point I was struggling to watch what I'd written down, and I just had to fucking change as I was going along. Have a look here. Maybe I'm talking about ass. Or have I not updated my list? Because obviously, as I say, with all the changes, I might not have updated the actual list. So I got a feeling I didn't update. I got a feeling I didn't update the lists. But obviously, I kind of adjusted my rules as I was going along with adding, say, short films and adding the ability to change the list as I was going along. And as I say, I've been doing it, coming up to my 4th year. Well, 3 years I've done it so far. I've really enjoyed 2020, 21, 22. It's coming up to a 5th year, actually, technically. I started in 2020, 2021, 22, 23. 24 is my 5th one of it. I'm half asleep currently. That's the joy of toothache. I say toothache. Tooth extraction. Pain. But yeah, so this is my 5th list I've done. So I've done 4 so far. And as I said, the 4 I've done so far, I've really enjoyed doing. Obviously, it's the one that what I'd always say is the one of the good things that came out of obviously the COVID lockdowns is that I started doing this because I feel like if maybe eventually I might have done it like down the line, but obviously I kind of got pushed in. I kind of pushed myself to do it because I had nothing to do. Kind of like what I did starting YouTube, starting obviously a podcast. My first podcast I did back then. That was kind of because of COVID. So I always refer to some of these moments as the only positive sides of the stupid ass pandemic. But yeah, so that's what I love about doing this is checking out new films, checking out old films, checking out films I love, and it's just a really enjoyable thing to do. And as I say, it's just all you gotta do is just pick one movie a night, and bam, there you go. 31 days of picking movies. Have fun. I mean, you don't, technically speaking, you don't even have to make lists. You can just kind of just go with the flow and just whatever you feel like that night, I'll watch that. But for me, I kind of, because I know I'm not like that, because I know for a fact I'll sit there for fucking hours. I do it in general. I'll sit there for ages going, I don't know what to watch, and then spend probably about half hour to an hour looking for something to watch. And in the end, I just give up and watch a cartoon or something like fucking Family Guy or South Park or something. I'll just generally just give up. So I know for a fact I kind of have to have a list. And I know with the 2022 one, which is obviously when I was covering a lot of these horror movies on the podcast each week. So obviously, where's the 2022 list? I took it down just. So for example, I've lost 2022. There. So for example, I think the 1st of October that year was when I covered the Halloween 2018 movie. So obviously that was for these Friday that week. And then going through the rest of this, like Werewolf by Night, we covered Halloween Kills. So I kind of covered them as I was obviously. I kind of had to make sure. Well, we need to watch that on day because that's the day I need to cover it for the podcast for that week. Because if I remember exactly that year, so the podcast was Halloween. The following week it was Werewolf by Night. The week after it was Halloween Kills because I kind of left, I think, like a gap What did I do? What did I say? Wealth by Night for the end of the month. I might actually say that because if I remember correctly, I watched that by myself, and then I saved it for to watch and review with Hayden at the time. So yeah, we went from Halloween. Halloween Kills the following week. Halloween Ends the week after, which obviously we watched on the Friday. And I'm pretty certain we might have come back and reviewed on the Saturday at the way. So we can't, obviously Kills came out the day, obviously Ends went into cinema. But then obviously we put out Ends the following week because that's when we got a chance to actually cover it on the podcast. And yeah, then we followed that up with finishing off with Wealth by Night for that obviously month. So yeah. So obviously at that point then I was kind of having to make sure to keep to a schedule because I needed those for those episodes. But since I don't fully, because I think I might have covered one last year for 2023. So I definitely did Saw X because I watched that with Connor. Obviously, because we did the live podcast on it. So I knew I had to get that one on the list to make sure I was fine with it. Did I do Exorcist Believe on the podcast or did I skip that? Because I definitely did Five Nights at Freddy's. Or did I? Yes, I did. I think. Oh, god damn it! My mind is just racing with trying to fucking remember information. If I look at the podcast, if I scroll down my list of episodes, so we need 2020. Yeah, here we go. So Saw X was the only one I actually covered. Yeah, because I didn't bother because I was waiting for I was saving some to review with Hayden, but it just never happened. So yeah, no, I only covered Saw X. So, yeah, so even like this year, I might, depends how I feel, cover some obviously the movies for the podcast because I need just to fill episodes like this one is kind of just like an out of the blue. I didn't really have a topic. Fuck it. To talk about obviously what I do every October. So I might cover obviously a movie. Obviously one of the movies I do on the Friday. It might not necessarily be the one I cover on that day. Could be one of the ones I've covered over the around that time. Just depends how I feel on the movie. I feel big enough that obviously good enough that I can go, okay, I can talk about that for a good fucking 20, 30 minutes. If not, I could always technically mash up two because I've done that before. So as I say, I'm looking at this year's list and at the moment I'm not making changes. The only one that possibly may be changed, I'm to make sure it's actually on there. I may have actually took it off already, but it may go back on. And that's Terrifier 3, because at the moment, obviously the cinema I go to, most of the showings are late at night, so I won't be able to get to them. The only days that aren't, I think it's the Sunday it comes, obviously the weekend it comes out, and then 1 or 2 days in the week, and they're like after 5 o'clock, and I'm like, I might be able to get to that Sunday one. It's 50-50, so I think that's why I may have took it off my list already. But it may go back on if I actually am able to get to it. If they put any more showings up, or if I do say fuck it, I'll go to it. Because at the moment, I'm not planning to. I'm considering it. If they put a better showing up, I definitely will. But at the moment, I'm not planning to, just because I want to. I like going to the cinema with people because then I can obviously have a discussion with them afterwards. It's just how I always am. That's why I have the cinema pass with Hayden, so we can actually just come out afterwards and go, what do you think of that film, and have this little discussion about this film. I just like doing that. It's more interesting than just going by myself. Obviously going by myself means I don't have to worry about trying to schedule around other people. But to be fair, myself and Hayden pretty much have the same schedule for Fridays when we usually go to the cinema. I know the only one we don't this month is for when Small 2 comes out, but thankfully they're doing advanced screenings on the Thursday, so we're actually able to go watch that, which then does kind of free me up for that weekend to possibly go watch that, is it The Wild Robot, I think it's called. That looks pretty fucking good, and it's supposed to be, the reviews on it are ridiculously high, so I kind of want to check that out. So at the moment, Terrifier 3 isn't on my list, which is annoying, because I want to watch it. It looks fucking good. again, the reviews on that are really good, and I love Terrifier 2. Wasn't a big fan of Terrifier 1, but Terrifier 2 was fucking amazing. And I kind of really want to watch this one. So I'll say that's one of those ones where that's where my rules of I can change as I'm going along comes into place, because if it gets close to that date and they actually put a better showing up, or if it gets close to that date and I go, you know what, screw this, I'm going, I don't give a shit, then I'll go. So we'll see about that. But as I said, at the moment, actually, I'll go through my list for this year just so you can see what I'm checking out. This is my, at the moment, locked-in list, but as I say, subject to change. So obviously, I'll be kicking off on the first with the movie The Lair, which is on Shudder. I think The Lair's the one by Neil Marshall. Obviously, the guy who made Dog Soldier's Descent, and was it Doomsday? I think he did before he then went and did Hellboy. So I've been wanting to watch that for a fucking while now. Came out Neil Marshall came out in 2022, and I kind of want to check it out. It's got mixed reviews, but it's my excuse to check it out. So that's one I've not watched. And I try, when it comes to what I've watched and what I haven't watched on these lists, I do try and balance it out in favor usually of the haven't watched, because it means obviously I'm getting to watch new movies that I've not yet seen. So I do try and balance it out. At the moment, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I've got 24 this year. It's probably my biggest year for movies I haven't watched. So I've got 24 out of 31 that are brand new to me. So that's, I say, usually I try and balance it out in them. So normally it's around, I think I normally do like 16 in favour of new, 15 in favour of haven't. Obviously, I've seen before, but this year apparently I've completely fucking ignored that and just gone fully into the more I haven't seen yet. So then obviously the second, I'm going to be following up with another monster movie called Death Valley, which came out the year before. It's another one that has mixed reviews, but I'm going to see what they're like. Some of these are on Shudder. This is why I'm obviously checking them out, why they're on the list, because it's easy access. Following that up with Jaws, because it's fucking Jaws. I need to watch that again. Because of Funko Fusion, I've been wanting to rewatch it, just like I've been doing with the Jurassic Park franchise, just like I've done with Hot Fuzz, just like I want to do with The Thing. Obviously, this is an excuse for me to jump back into Jaws and watch it again. And I'm going to follow up with another shot, maybe 47 Meters Down. Never watched it fully. I think I saw maybe the first half of the movie. Never fully got into it, but I want to give it a chance because I like the second one. I like 47 Meters Uncaged, I think it is. I like that one, and I do. Obviously, I'm interested in the third one that's coming out, so I kind of like, yeah, fuck it. I'll give it a watch. I'll see what it's like. And then following that with back-to-back Spider movies, Sting, which came out this year, which I've heard decent things about. And then Vermins, which I also heard decent things about, which is a French film. So that's my back-to-back Spider movies. Then I'm doing Megan, because obviously I am putting some movies in that, obviously, for days that I'll be able to watch with Hayden. And obviously I put Megan in there because I know she keeps going on about wanting to watch it again. So I'll put that in there just to have an excuse for her to rewatch it. Just an excuse for us to sit down and watch a film, to be fair, together. Cobweb is my next one. That came out, was that last year? Yeah, last year. I've heard mixed things with that, but I'll wait for like $1.99, I think it was, so I'll see what it's like. Late Night with the Devil, called The Exorcism, yeah, with Russell Crowe. The First Omen, Immaculate, The Witch, Pet Sematary Bloodline, Talk to Me, Tarot, Smile, Dark Harvest, Bagman, Revenge, Fresh, which has been on my list like the last 2 years, and I just always change my mind last minute and obviously put something else in its place. The Strangers Pray at Night, The Strangers Chapter 1, Punch, The Jester, Founders Day, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends, and I should have put Halloween 78 and Halloween 2018 to make that more clearer. But that's my list for this year. It says there's some decent, obviously, films I've seen on there before. There's some films that I've heard some reasonable reviews on. And as I'm hoping to stick to this list this year, I don't want to actually change anything. The only one I say I want to maybe change is Terrifier 3. And obviously Terrifier comes out the 13th, I think it is. What's the 15th? So the 15th on here is Talk to Me. Obviously, I kind of do want to watch that. Again, it's another one I've heard really good things about. So obviously, I might put Terrifier 3 back in on that day and just put Talk to Me on a different day. I don't know which one I'd take out. Maybe The Strangest Prayer at Night, because I've seen that one. That is a possibility, but it's one of those ones where I'll decide when I get to that date if I want to take that out or not. But so at the moment, that's my locked-in list for this year. And that is completely different to my original plan, because this is like my second list I've made for this year. I think my original one I had like near enough the entire Conjuring franchise, but I've completely erased that from it. I was like, no, instead of sticking with like franchises, I'll go for like individual movies. The only one that I would say you can really say I've got a franchise for is the Strangers one, because I've got all 3 movies in there at the moment. But other than that, most of the films are just individual movies. I think at one point my first list I had the first Smile in there. I was going to watch that the day before, but I changed my mind and just went, nah. I'll just stick with. I'll add it obviously as a movie I haven't seen, and I think was it Dark Harvest? No, sorry, Tarot, which is a new one, which I've heard a lot of bad things about, but it's one of those ones where I'll give it a watch. Even if I heard bad things about a movie, I'll give it a watch, and it gives me my opinion on it. And if it is as bad as people said, I can go, oh yeah, that's bad. Like for example, Night Swim, which came out this year, it got very mixed reviews, didn't do very well at the box office. I watched it at home, obviously when it came out on digital, and I was just like, it's a mediocre film. I agree with the reviews on it. It's not the best film I've ever watched. It's not the worst film out there, not the worst horror film out there, but it's just one of those ones where it's your run-of-the-mill type movie. I think the only thing I really liked about it is obviously the actor who plays the dad in it, Wyatt Russell. Obviously, I liked him in the Godzilla series, and I liked him in the Falcon Winter Soldier series, so I'm looking forward to seeing him in Thunderbolts next year. But that was the only salvaging factor for it. The rest of it was just meh. It's another one of those ones where Hollywood was like, oh, this short film got a decent praise, let's turn it into a bigger movie. And it's just like, well, it didn't work as that bigger movie. It should have just stuck to its short film format, because that's just how it worked. And there was the other one, for example, Imaginary. That's one I'd seen in cinema. Obviously, I need to rewatch that because I had a bad experience in cinema with that, with just people not knowing how to shut the fuck up while you're watching a movie. So I do need to rewatch that. But from ignoring that aspect of it, it was not, just like Night Swim. It was one that was like mediocre. I think I preferred it slightly more to Night Swim, but it was still a mediocre movie. And the reviews were also mediocre on it, and I agree with that. But I say I kind of do want to rewatch it just because of the fact I had a bad experience watching it in cinema. I don't really usually have a bad experience in a movie, obviously cinema watching stuff, but in that case I fucking did. But it's not one that I was going to chuck on this list, because I say it would take up a space of a film I haven't watched yet. Yet this film I haven't watched could be fucking dreadful, and I could say, okay, maybe I should put Imaginary in. Like for example, was it last year, the year before, I watched a film called The Devil Below, which is like a monster movie, which had obviously the actor who plays the police officer in the newer Halloween trilogy. And I watched it, obviously, I think I saw, did I see reviews? I can't remember if I did or not, but obviously I remember seeing like a trailer, I was like, those monsters look pretty cool. And I remember watching the movie and thinking, my god, this movie's fucking, I think I fell asleep, that's how bad it was, and I was like, that's not a good sign if I fell asleep watching this movie. It was just total ass. So maybe I could have a situation this year where I've watched the film and it's that like that. I'm just like, maybe I could have put Imaginary into this fold and give it a chance again. But I say at the moment, this is my list. I'm sticking with it. I don't want to make any changes. Terrifier 3 is the only one I'm looking at of maybe making a change. But that just goes down to if I'm able to get to the cinema to watch it. If not, I want to stick with this. I want to check out majority of these movies on this list, because as I say, there's some new ones on there that obviously have come out this year. Some new ones that are yet to come out, i.e. Smile 2. There's some old ones on here that obviously I've been wanting to watch over the past few years, but never got around to watching it. The example there would be, as they Talk to Me in the Pet Sematary Bloodlines one. Both those two came out, but they're both last year. One was last year, one was the year before. Obviously, I wanted to watch both of them when they first came to Paramount Plus and Netflix, I believe Talk to Me is on, but I never got around to it. So it's kind of the case of I want to watch them. So I don't really want to take them out the list. Same with Fresh. It came to Disney Plus like fucking 2022, and I changed my mind. I never got around to watching it multiple times. I kept going, I'll watch this instead, I'll watch this instead, watch this instead. But I don't want to do that. I want to stick to this list and give all these films a shot. So yeah, obviously, if you do 31 Days of Halloween, just like me, obviously put your 2024 list in the comments below. Obviously, if you make a list, and if you don't make a list, put obviously the movies that you know for a fact you're gonna check out. Obviously, in this year's obviously October month. So I'll be interested to see what movies you've got. Obviously, if you get any recommendations to check out, and obviously that might not be able to add it into this year unless it's one that I go, oh, actually, I could slightly old stamp put that in instead. But it might be ones I could look at in the years to come. Obviously, if there's any recommendations of movies, put them in the comments as well. Obviously, if I've seen them, I'll let you know. If I haven't seen them, I'll add it to a list of films to check out. And yeah, obviously, if you like horror, just talk to me about horror in the comments below. Horror films you absolutely love, horror films you hate, horror films you're looking forward to that are coming out, either the rest of this year because there's a couple still to come, or even next year and beyond. So do put them in the comments below. I would be interested in those sort of conversations. And yeah, I think obviously I should about cover this episode. Obviously, as I could talk about the October release because we've got Joker, we've got as a Terrifier 3, Small 2, Venom 3, The Last Robot, Transformers 1. So this month of October is a massive month, and I do feel like I could sit here for ages talking about each movie and why I'm interested in each of them, and why I'm interested in obviously watching each of them in cinema. At the moment, I'm pretty much going to watch all of them. I'd say Terrifier 3 is the only one that there's not a decent showing on yet. The Last Robot, the showings aren't out, so I can't really say I'm booked for that yet. And same with Venom. But Joker, I'm booked for. I'll be watching that the day this podcast goes out. What else am I booked for? Small 2, I'm booked for. Nothing. Oh, Transformers 1. And I know some of these, obviously, Joker's got mixed reviews from its early press screenings, obviously the film festival screenings it had, and I know Transformers 1 got really decent reviews, and so did so did Terrifier 3 from its obviously early release in other countries. I know America's already got Transformers 1 because it's not done very big at the box office, but I'm still gonna go watch it because it looks interesting. It's a different take on a Transformers movie from what we've got in cinemas lately, so I'm gonna check out, see what it's like, and I've pretty much been going to watch most of the Transformers films in cinema. I think the only ones I skipped out on was the first one, obviously the original animated one because I wasn't alive then. The first one, Transformers 3 and Transformers 4, the only ones I really skipped out in cinema on. 2, 5, the most recent one, and Bumblebee I went to watch also. I kind of do want to check this one out as well because it looks quite fun. And so I could sit here talking about it all more, but just like with the one that I did with Connor in August when we was talking about the August releases, that video was a long ass podcast because there's so much to talk about on each movie. Obviously, in terms of their box office projections, their obviously possible critical and audience score, and just like how much we want to see or don't see that movie. I feel like it could literally just it would need to be literally just an hour podcast at the start. But because we haven't had a chance to sit down, we probably won't get a chance. If I do get a chance, great. Obviously, we'll just have to do what we did last time and be like, okay, this movie's already out. We know exactly how that's done. But it's these ones we're going to focus on. So if I'm able to do that, great. If not, then it's just what it is. It's just scheduling. So I say, my aim at the moment is trying to get kind of scheduled for as it end up playing a day out because we've been on about that for weeks and we've finally got a day to sit down and do it this weekend. So my main aim is to get that more than anything. I don't want to miss that because I do want to play that game again. But if I'm able to get him for a podcast to speak on these October releases, I will. So yeah, obviously you can check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, Amazon Music, etc., etc. And you can check out the video on YouTube, along with many other videos, from just small reviews. I've done a couple of them on here, to gaming videos. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I do hope to see you next time. Goodbye.
If you like what you've seen, don't be afraid to throw us a little like and subscribe. That's always very appreciated over here. And, well, I'll see you on the next video.